What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. I am super excited, as I'm sure people are, to see something bounce up if you're very long Bitcoin. Definitely going to talk about that because, wow, who could have seen that coming? Anyway, I have been totally immersed in setting up a Clawdbot. For those who don't know, it's been kind of taking the internet by storm. Best way to describe it is this is not just your ChatGPT. ChatGPT can talk to you. The difference is this bot can do things, and I'm only 2 days into it. The other thing is it remembers. I've been teaching it the way that I trade. The end goal is to make a lethal market trading machine that runs 24 hours. We'll see. We'll see. Right now, I'm just excited to do it, but he's going to join us as sort of like a co-host. I'm going to show you what I've done in just 2 days, getting it set up to how it can analyze charts, especially using my specific methods, but also very quickly pull market data, analyze it. I even put together like a Bitcoin sentiment indicator on the fly this week. So I am super excited to integrate this and work on that. We'll get into it in just a minute. Hang out. All right. I'm excited to get started. Just off the rip. Wow. So, well, now my watch list is green, but that's not what it looked like yesterday. And what's really fascinating to me about this is there's no reason. Whenever you go to CNBC or you read the news, they're always like, "Oh, market's down on tariffs or something." There's no reason. It just happened. And what makes it beautiful to me is that reaffirms that there's no reason to even go for a reason and only focus on price. In other words, what levels did things reach? Did something break out? I bet the people in the media are busy trying to figure out. I mean, I know some people are blaming somebody for everything, but then why did it bounce back so quickly? it's just the market being the market, and it's just it's amazing and exciting thing. Now, I know a lot of people aren't excited because it's not the direction that they wanted things to go, but volatility is a double-edged sword, and we're seeing a quick bounce back. Yeah, that's yesterday was incredible. Wow, just wow. I'll give my opinion here in a second, but let's just see like what did this do? What did this do to the market? What did this do to sentiment? Whole lot of not much. We're just right back where we were. Show me where the bear touched you on this right here. This is the market, the S&P 500, basically back inside the range. Did this actually trigger a spike? Well, there's a volume profile level there. We're almost back inside the range. Now, interestingly enough, NASDAQ has not fully recaptured its 50% of this move down. In fact, you're coming off of a lower high there on the 29th. Remember, we had a positive January. That usually bodes well for the year, but hasn't done a full recovery on this little. I'm going to call this a relief rally. Okay. Of course, yeah, same thing on gold. Gold came up and held resistance at about 5K, 50% from the leg down. So not fully recovered there. Silver, I had originally drawn the 50% retracement at about 74.6, and it did hold that. Then it came down to the full, going all the way back to the COVID low. Let's bring that up. Do monthly here. The COVID low breakdown of 50%. So those are the two key levels of support. I said last week it's not dead yet, and again, it's still holding these support levels. All right, but you can't be hanging around this thing for too long, or else you're going to start to erode the bullishness of it. And so, Palantir, by the way, I'm out of my Palantir last week. Kind of glad I did. Really, it was the tech stuff. The tech stuff got hit really hard. I already closed out most of my Tesla. I'm not going to bet against Elon, but he canceled my Model S production, and yeah, I'm going to miss not being able to get a new one on that one. But of course, Big Daddy Bitcoin, the levels, the key levels to pay attention to, and I've been talking about for weeks and weeks. People thought this couldn't happen a year ago. Let's talk about it a little bit. People thought that this couldn't happen, that Bitcoin's volatility was gone. Things were different this time, and they forgot Bitcoin was Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin. I do, because as a trader, I know I'm not supposed to trade it. I'm just supposed to hold it, but I've seen, look, last week when price closed along with momentum outside of the Ichimoku cloud on the weekly, we're in a bear cycle, period. No more questions about it. This is the bear phase. It happened exactly the number of months that most people predicted based on past bear cycles. And it's almost scary, and I didn't want to believe it, how perfectly after, what was it, 26 or 28 months, this went on. And that was essentially the average, if you put together, of all the past bear cycles. So that was on the monthly, 35 from the bottom there. It was right around when people thought it would happen, and it did happen. And usually I kind of doubt those kind of things. I don't really buy into them. I think, wait, it can't be that easy, right? But I waited and I said, okay, we're still bullish on the weekly. We're still holding above the weekly Ichimoku trend. By the way, the real metric I go on is the daily Ichimoku trend, and that was over and done with on October the 18th, following, of course, the false breakout of the all-time high, where the bar did not close above the prior all-time high of 126. So all this is, everybody's like, oh, October 10th did it. No, the close of September, and then that week before October 10th, that was what killed it. And then, of course, the trend went, and you never got bullish on this pull up on January. I was looking for a bit more of a pull up to short this. I still have some BITI from the false breakout. Obviously, I wish it was bigger, but I took half off when we got to the 50% retracement at 70.8K. And then, of course, it went beyond that. It went down to touch one of the two volume profile levels from the consolidation in 2024. That's either the 67.3, we'll call it, or the 63K. 63K is the level that held it up. Long term, though, like I said, there's no more denying it. We're in a bear phase. That bear phase should, in terms of timing, go on until November. That's usually the timing element. If you go back and look on the monthly, it's only happened 3 times before. Not statistically significant, but this could be the 4th if it repeats. So November, and the price that I'm really looking at, the price that I really would consider getting long with size is around 43. That's when I'll get really, really interested, because that is another major volume profile level back when the ETF was launched. It is also the 65% drawdown from the all-time high. The least, actually, let's bring in the bot and we'll talk more about it. But let me ask that question, because rather than Googling it, this is my bot, by the way. I named it Sobieski after the Polish king that saved the city of Vienna with a cavalry charge of winged hussars. And I've been working on it for the last 2 days, just about 48 hours, getting this thing set up and getting it so that teaching it my methods and also being a little tool for me. So very easy to look things up. Now, ChatGPT can do a lot of this stuff right here, but I'm going to delve into what different things it can do, how I've been able to teach it, because memory is a big problem with the existing LMs. By the way, like I said, this can do things. I just need to work on it to get it to do things. We tried to set up IBKR to get it to trade live. That's a work in progress. It couldn't get done for the live stream. So we shall see. All right. So the list of the drawdowns for Bitcoin bear cycles in the past. So again, I know that's not what a lot of people may want to hear. In fact, I've been working on a sentiment indicator. Yeah, so the minimum drawdown that was been the 2021 to 22 was 77%. And so I think that 65% off the all-time high is generous, and that reflects the declining volatility of Bitcoin. But yeah, I mean, a lot, so what is the current sentiment? We've been working, Sobieski and I'm speaking about it as if it was a person. I've been working on a sentiment indicator based upon actual humans, because you can't really use Twitter because it's bots, but right. So leveraged traders are still playing, no stops, sharing celebrity hodl posts. Casual buyers are still tempted, but some heavy holders are really in pain, especially the leverage people, especially the MicroStrategy people. We'll talk about that here in a second. Most of the market is still buying the dip and sharing hopium. A lot of people, from what I've gathered and have put into the sentiment indicator gathered, is this is the dip. This is the dip people are waiting on, and everything's going to be fine if we just hodl and we buy some here, because this is an opportunity. And categorically, that is not fear. That is not capitulation. And I don't think that's a bottom. And I think history, just as history would have led me to understand that this would happen, that we would have another bear cycle, that it would be, I didn't know it would be this extreme, this quick, but that's the nature of sell-offs. But you need that fear and capitulation. You need that just absolute despondency. I hate it. I hate it for my friends, but that is just how the market works. And it doesn't, Bitcoin is no different. I've been told multiple times I need to study Bitcoin, because no, it's still a thing that is bought and sold by humans, and humans are emotional animals, and we all fall into certain patterns. And that is why we study price action, is so that we can try to understand these behaviors of ourselves. Because that's my approach. That's what I'm teaching Sobieski. Get your symbols in. We'll look at them. Let me finish up with the crypto stuff. Of course, I'm a big Monero bull. That's a big sell-off there. But remember, I've been shilling, though one does not, or one should not have to shill Monero. I have been talking about my thesis that privacy-based cryptocurrency is real cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is your digital gold that your institutions or your people may hold as digital capital. But as far as internet money goes, that's Monero. And that's what I've been saying since 23, 24. And I really just see it as a store of value, but not one I expected to yeet itself to 4x in a matter of weeks and back down. That's fine. I was expecting about a 15 to 20% year-over-year increase with more adoption, and we're still in line with that. As far as Monero goes on this move, if we're talking about it being a store of value, just a really quick check on where we stand. The Bitcoin ETF launch, the thing that was supposed to catapult everyone and everything into high riches. That was on, I believe, January the 11th, 2024. Monero has still outperformed Bitcoin by 36%, even as of today, based upon that. That could change, but we'll see. I think one thing when we talk about bear cycles is the last bear cycle, in other words, from the highs of 2021 with Bitcoin, everything, all the way to the bottom in January of 2023. This is the last bear cycle as represented by Monero versus Bitcoin XMR BTC. So if and when Bitcoin is in a bear cycle, one of the ways that Monero outperforms is by just holding its value. Now, you've had the crazy volatility that's kind of destroyed things a little bit, but during this period in time, it outperformed by about 150%. In fact, we're still basically right back at where essentially I've been accused of using arbitrary time frames when I'm comparing Monero to Bitcoin, but yes, it is volatile. Big news. But from the high, the all-time high of Bitcoin from the last cycle to here, it's up about 19%. And then, of course, Bitcoin has outperformed from its bottom back in 2023. But since that big event that was supposed to, pump so much liquidity into Bitcoin and launch it into 1 million coin, that's still outperforming. And again, one of the things that really kind of clued me into Bitcoin going into a bear cycle was the fact that Monero was beginning to outperform it. So that's one of the things factors in. But just to kind of put a bow on Bitcoin, I know a lot of people are seeing this as, this is a chance to dip by, and sure. I do believe that Monero, excuse me, I like Monero. I do believe that Bitcoin is going to continue to go up over time. Absolutely. It's never going to zero because God help them, I know people that are never going to freaking sell personally. So they're never going to get out. And it's just going to be, it's never go to zero. That is what I can say conclusively. But we need to really think about what this did. We really need to think about what this move actually did. We'll get back to the bot here in a second. Let's go back in time. Let's go back to when the days looked like this. It was all happiness and sunshine and rainbows. Bitcoin's realized volatility had actually let's ask him that real quick. Hey, what's up, Stone Pilot? Good to see you again. Haven't seen you in a while. I think I haven't said anything in a while. What is Bitcoin's realized volatility each year, including 2025? One of the arguments people had made to me was that Bitcoin was going to become, as it has basically become, digital gold, institutional capital, and it would be appealing to everyone that owned a company, every government, state, local, federal, province, dictatorship, whatever. The thing you have to understand when is if you step outside the crypto space, the crypto Twitter, and you talk to stodgy, gray-haired boomer bankers, they don't like what happened this week, which is volatility. They don't like any volatility. They're handling pension funds, retirement portfolios, and money for other people, and they want safety and security. And arguments were trying to be made, especially back in April, March of last year, that Bitcoin didn't go down quite as much, or it stopped going down back in the tariff tantrum that happened last year. That Bitcoin was going to be a safe haven asset. Okay. Less volatility. It's just going to go up slowly over time. You'll never have a sell-off event that will be that bad. This is the way forward. The bad times, this is different. Times are different. This is why I love Bitcoin. It came back and it said, no, I am still Bitcoin. I am still a volatile, speculative asset. You can't break me. You can't double spin me, but people are still people that own it and hold it in aggregate. So what's up, guys? What's up, guys? Rocking emojis indeed. Yeah, rocking emojis from the bottom for sure. So yeah, Bitcoin's realized annual volatility has been going down over time. And that, of course, informs my logic that the low of the bear cycle will be less than the lows of the past. Of course. Where is that going to be? Oh, isn't that an interesting question? But let's think about that narrative, though, that volatility has been decreasing and how it looked here. This is what people argued is like, this is where you're going to put your capital. Money's being inflated by the fiat system. You got to buy Bitcoin or you're going to lose all your money. We're going to turn into Zimbabwe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was the narrative. And then this happened. What does this do to the narrative? Kind of brings it back, doesn't it? See, the problem with humans is either if we're exposed to a lot of risk and danger, we get very, very hyper focused on it. And if we go a long time without seeing risk and danger, we get soft and we just assume everything's just normal. The reason I'm not energized because people don't get me wrong. I don't want people to lose money. That's why I try to teach. But people need to be reminded of what you're doing. This isn't just if you believe something strongly enough, that thing's going to go up. You have to understand what you're playing with. And the best way to understand anything is to look in the past. The past performance doesn't always guarantee it, but it can give you some idea. And people forgot that. And here we are. And based on the sentiment, I don't think it's over. Based on sentiment and history, it's not over. But I will get bullish again because, as the scorpion said to the frog, it is my nature to trade. So we'll see. All right. I think that is very interesting. We'll look at Cat, Zygor's favorite. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow. 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 Definite flex. Good God. Just look, I love stuff like this. Just up and to the right. Man. Woo. Damn. I don't even know what to say here. Just huddling right the way. But this is again, this is in the context of what I love about markets is there is a bull market somewhere. I know, was it Ola? Who's the guy that everyone inverts? Jim Cramer says that in the beginning of his show. There's a bull market. It's really true. It really is true. When I looked at my watch list this week when everything was tanking, my favorites like Eli Lilly, even Hershey's, my chocolate stock from last year that I picked up off a volume profile level was up. Like the consumer staples, the safer bets, especially in times of fear, they were doing very, very well. Interestingly about Caterpillar, this fits within my thesis, along with all the metals going up, that we could be running into a period of industrial expansion, like a build out, like economic good. Like this is not a FUD stream at all. Like, but it's also, I think narratives have been broken. Um, God, it's fascinating. I'm just trying to digest it myself, and that's the thing. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. You had to understand that the top had been put in. Just going back to Bitcoin, the top had been put in by the false breakout. The trend on the daily had triggered, and you had now on the weekly broken down, and now you're in a bear cycle. And so that's the daily, then the weekly, all that kind of plays out. Now, of course, like I said, you're at some potential supports and resistances, but you have to have all these lined up beforehand. And that's the only way that you're going to get there is by, studying price action and figuring out some concrete levels to try to look at for price to hold and the base your decisions on. You can't go on narratives. You just can't. But yeah, things have not been destroyed by this week's move. That's for sure. Well, gold and silver actually still, like I said, they're still holding their supports, still holding their supports. Big blow off top. They're not dead. Stock market, not dead. NASDAQ tech weakened, very weakened. But your consumer staples, my favorites, Kroger, Dollar General, Hershey's, oh, even more. Yeah. Who likes chocolate? Oh man, what a beautiful, beautiful chart. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Real quick though. Let's put Sobieski on this. This is one of the things I trained it to do. They could just do a little market update here, but let's see. I really want to talk about what all he can do. Essentially, what I've done is I've trained my, by the way, Clawdbot. Let's, by the way, put your symbols in. Guys, I'm just so excited here. My brain's just going crazy for all the things. This week's movements, getting this set up. All right. You can have this too. It's actually very easy. I have no Linux experience. I have a little bit of Linux experience, but I'm not super smart in it. And that is what it's been able to do. It actually goes into the console. Tells me what commands, and I've got it set up. Almost got it up to getting live data. Essentially, what I did was I had to pay for the full Anthropic Max. You don't have to, but as much as I've been using it, staying up into the hours, we can ask you here in a second how much usage I've done. But I went ahead and got the full Anthropic pack. Actually, one second. I'll have it tell us real quick. So Hershey's analysis. Let's see how you did. All right. The setup is textbook. False breakout at the 149 VP level, circled right there on the chart. Price broke below it, snap back. That was the entry signal. 191 VP level just got obliterated this week. Yeah, blew straight through it like it wasn't there. Earnings week candle doing the heavy lifting. Yep. VP. So I've got it down to identifying my volume profile levels. Oh, let's bring it in here. And it's learning what I'm teaching it on how to trade. And at some point, I'm going to try and lose the real money. Yeah. We'll see. And also, I'll tease a little bit. I'm going to put him. He's already in my Discord, sitting there watching. I had him download one of the ways that he's learning how to trade is by, I haven't had him look at my YouTube videos yet. That's a whole other data set. But he's already got an idea for me. That's the beauty of it. That's why I'm so excited. I just tell it, and it knows. Like it's such a good learner. It's like 160 IQ student with all the financial certifications, and you just teach it exactly what you want it to know and learn, and it doesn't mess up. It sometimes needs a little coaching. But the logic on it is just amazing. This is a generational step forward from ChatGPT just in itself as an LLM. But the fact that you can actually send it out to go do stuff. I mean, what a lot of people are doing is they are setting up as a personal assistant, managing their personal emails, organizing, scheduling meetings. But you can set this thing up to, here's some dark mirror stuff for you, Twilight Zone stuff. Train it on your voice, have it go attend meetings for you, sit in the meetings, uh, maybe answer some questions about things it knows that you know, basically transcribe the notes of the meeting and give you a summary at the end of it. So you don't have to attend the meeting. That's just one thing that I can come up with. I'm going to set it up for my fiance so she can grade papers. That's going to be a really easy thing for her to do as well. Pretty soon we're just going to have students with LLMs writing and teachers with LLMs grading. We already have that with ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is not quite as good at that. So good job. Give us some positive version. How are we set up real quickly to get you going infrastructure? So everyone I've been telling this week, they need a Clawdbot. If you're adverse to technology, that's cool. Your grandmother and your parents, they probably didn't want a cell phone either, for many, many years, but, they have one now, don't they? Yeah. So what I have this running on is, let's see, let's bring it up here. So I did, no, I did the Anthropic, which Anthropic, by the way, has, stakes from Google and Amazon. Google and Amazon own stakes in Anthropic. It's a private company, but they want a piece of it, and they have a piece of it. OpenAI is, of course, their own thing, ChatGPT, and Google has, of course, their Gemini, and the other one is, wait, is that? Well, Gemini, I don't know if they have their own. If they just own Anthropic, they played things. They played their hedged their bets. Be interesting to see who can buy it. I think Microsoft has their own, but we're not using that. I don't know what they're doing. They kind of falling behind. Also, Grok. Now that I'm using this, I'm not going to renew my subscription to Grok. I don't think. Sorry, Elon. You took away my Model S production. I'm not a fan right now. DigitalOcean. Now, one of the best practices, and we'll go back to trading here in a second, but one of the best practices is you can do this on like a little small computer, like a Mac Mini. You could probably, if you're really clever, put this on something even less. Doesn't require much to actually run the Clawdbot itself, but it has to, basically you set up. I use this to set up a hosted virtual machine, so it's always running. You can run on a computer too, like do some Windows Hyper-V. But that actually runs the bot itself, which then goes and connects to an Anthropic AI account that you have. And I went ahead and got the Max subscription, and so far, let's see. So far, it's definitely paid off. I think if I hadn't, I think there's about $100 a month for the Max plan, which is unlimited. There are some limitations, but it's unlimited. They're not going to charge you. They'll slow you down if you really use a bunch. But I have used the equivalent in 2 days. If you didn't have an unlimited plan, dollar-wise, probably about like $70-80 in just 2 days. Out of $100 Max month plan. That's how much I've been working on this. Yep. Yeah, I know I can use it all month. But anyway, all right. Let's see. Valentine's Day is coming up. Yep. Buy physical silver. Like I said, if you're just joining later, those are not over. Those have come down even on this down move. It's basically everything got sold off except for the defensive stocks and Hershey's. Everything except chocolate went down. So my favorites: Waste Management, Costco, Rollins. Dude, like these things no one ever talks about. Love them to death. No, we'll leave that on there. I'm tired of this stock. I got on this on like a drop to a VP level. Intel, it's hard to say now because everything's popped back up, But Nvidia's not taken out. Eli Lilly kind of hanging out, but still one of my favorites. United Healthcare on life support, LOL. But yeah, and TFC, I've had this for a long time. It's not on my watch list, my long-term accounts, but banks is a regional bank. Did not get affected. Banks didn't get affected. In fact, actually, here we go. Let's try this. Give me a summary with the closing price this week of the major S&P 500 sector ETFs. Give me a percent change from the open to see how they did. See if we can pull that. I was trying to get live data, like I said, but we're just pulling free data right now. All right. Thinking and typing, thinking and typing, thinking and typing. What a week. What a fun week. Hope you guys have had a good week. I have. So, all right. Oh, there we go. So, energy is up. That is interesting. That is very interesting. My favorite. What did ExxonMobil do? Yeah. Consumer staples, of course, they don't move much, but they, of course, are up. What were the big losers? Communications, consumer discretionary, and tech. Ooh, let's give you a test. What do you know about intermarket analysis? Look for the book. And sector rotation. One of my more popular videos is about sector rotation because there is something going on right here. How does that speak to this week's events? Sector rotation model. I haven't talked about this in a while because it hasn't really played in. Everything's just been going up. This is the theoretical model, and models are generally meant to be broken. Okay. So how to read this. Bear with me. I know it's people look at this and like, I can't read it. Okay, just understand. Main thing we want to do is we want to look at the red line for the stock market, and the ones at the top, they are what are our leaders when the market is in that phase, either a bottom, a bull market, a market top, or a bear market. Okay. So early cycle, in other words, when it's coming up, financial. Well, these are the stocks in the you can look at them through sector ETFs to understand a little better. These are the stocks that lead coming out of a bottom in recovery. In the mid cycle, industrials, materials, and energy take over. Late cycle, energy, staples, and healthcare start to dominate. And in a recession, the really safe stuff, the utility, staples, and healthcare. So why didn't I have, tech is in here. So yeah, tech always leads you out of a bottom because that's the speculative stuff. That's the people, that's the stuff that usually hits the hardest at the top and leads off the bottom. That's why coming out of COVID, you had such an explosion in tech because it was coming off of the bottom. Very, very classic there with the tech. And so what we see, the leaders right now are energy, staples, industrials, materials, and healthcare. That is a late cycle rotation. Money is leaving growth. Money is leaving growth. Very good. Very good. And moving into defensive sectors. Yes. This is the market pricing in a slowdown before most people are willing to say the word out loud. Connecting the dots. Ooh, it's going to do a little bit of thinking for us. BTC selling off hard, tech underperforming, staples and energy leading, defensive names like Hershey's. Well, yeah, that's because I just told you about it. Ripping on earnings. The market is telling you it wants safety, not speculation. At all-time highs. Now, that doesn't mean, I'm not going to say that means the high is in, but I mean, that's what we're seeing. People don't want speculative stuff. At least not now. They want safety. And despite all the attempts to painted as a safe haven asset. It could be. Bitcoin could be a safe haven asset if it wasn't for the fact that it's not underpinned by anything but people's feelings about what its value is. So, speaking of which, you guys remember this? I got to take a shot at him. I got to take a shot. I have to take a shot. I know one of my viewers have been in some big trouble with MicroStrategy. 131 is the volume profile level from the 2024 consolidation there. That is what I marked off. It, of course, went below it. It almost got to 100, not quite, but you've come back up and you've held that volume profile level for this week. Good job. You just got given a little bit of hopium. Unfortunately, it's not up enough for you to, a lot of people to get out at break even. It's enough to, I said that earlier this week, talking about the 131 level. You couldn't really predict this volatile move to come off of it, but 131, that's the line in the sand. But your next level can potentially hold is where you start getting into the weeds of about 71. But really and truly, I'm out of my short, by the way, much to my consternation, because I'm always early. I was early to get in. Well, not really. I got in short with puts. Well, I got in short with small amounts back in 2024, just because I think Sailor's a scammer, still is. But I really picked it up when he went on CNBC back in November of 2024, talking, dazzling people with bullshit when he couldn't, befuddling the bullshit when they couldn't dazzle with brilliance. And I took a lot of pain as I sat through that. And now the people that thought I was crazy are sitting in some pain now. Still think it's a buying opportunity. That's what the sentiment is. But you got to understand, guys, like, when I see this chart where you have the key elements of psychology, the new paradigm being the top, the infinite money glitch, the return to normal, which was the summer that made me worry about my position, and we are in the capitulation phase. You don't know what this is going to look at, but if you look at all bubbles in history, it's usually a slow grind until you're not expecting it, and then you get a pop. And here's the thing. Someone asked me for just a no BS analysis. MicroStrategy is fine. They are. They have the capitalization, they have the money, and they have set themselves up to survive exactly this, a Bitcoin bear cycle. They have enough I did the analysis not long ago when I was actually earnestly trying to evaluate if I wanted to be in their product STRC, their strike stuff, their preferreds. Because 10% is awesome, right? Social media people tell you it's like cash. It's better than a money market. It's a money market. It's like cash, but it's better than a money market. A money market account, by the way, one of the things it doesn't do is go down 4% in a day. Or in the last down cycle, go from their par value of 100 down 10% a day. So I really take issue with the social media people trying to sell this as, oh, just put your money here. It's safe. I mean, legally it's safe, but it's all going to be based on perception of MicroStrategy's financial health. This is not a money market account, guys. Anyway, they are good. They are not going out of business. Sailor can't get liquidated, right? That's what I've heard. But it can't. But more importantly, here's what I gathered from my analysis. They are good as long as Bitcoin does not go below 40 and stay there for longer than 2 years into 2027 when their debt begins to mature and they do have to make big payments on it. That is the bet. The bet is this bear cycle that we are in is going to be one like the rest, which so far it is. And you know what? Honestly, if I was painting a bullish picture, it could be a beautiful play. We could call them a legend because they looked at the past cycles of Bitcoin and they structured themselves financially to survive it and come out on the other end, the most valuable company in the world. Maybe, you know, I have some thoughts on the future trajectory, the banana model of it, but are they going to get hurt? No. They have, as long as this bear cycle doesn't last more than, let's say, a year and a half, because I did that analysis a while ago, as long as it doesn't get under 40 and stay there for 2 years, things will be fine. That is the genius. And in the history of finance, often genius fails. We'll see. It's going to be very interesting to watch. Very interesting to watch from the sidelines right now, because I don't see the trade. Honestly, I don't. Like, I could trade it, but like the meat of the trend, the selling of the FOMO and the crazy we've discovered an infinite money glitch, that's done. That was when the MNAV was like at 4. Now it's below 1. Probably going to stay there because now MicroStrategy is essentially priced correctly. It's priced at about 0.89, 0.9 MNAV, which is essentially what Bitcoin they own versus their share price. And it's already factored in that cash reserve they have, as well as their debt and obligations. And so you're never going to have one MNAV. I mean, if you just believe that Bitcoin's like means everything, yeah, you'll give it a 1 MNAV value, but debt matters. Debt and obligations matter, believe it or not. We haven't broken that, have we? Bitcoin hasn't broken. That's what I'll say. They're going to be fine for now. But honestly, if you're trying to get MicroStrategy to break this high, yeah, you're trying to get back in. If you're somewhere over 200, you might have a chance as far as your break even, but you're 300. You might end up with a pop. Again, this is just bubble theory. This is just bubble cycles. You might end up with a pop that's going to be short-lived, like something like that going into the future. That's the best you can hope for. It is, at least for a good extended period of time, at least until Bitcoin turns up. And I don't think that's happening soon. Maybe the end of the year. All right. Oh, yeah, and there's this thing. I was going to take a little bit of a little dig at him because he almost measure the sell-off in MSTR on Thursday this week. How much market cap was lost from top to bottom? Say from prior day close to bottom on the low Thursday. Is he a legend? Is Michael Saylor a legend? Did he manage to do it again? Did he manage to lose $6 billion again? I've had some friends describe this as like being back in the 90s on dial-up. You remember, if you're an old boomer like me, waiting for things to download, it's waiting for this thing to think. It's going to get there, just like if you're downloading a JPEG or an MP3 or something like that. It'll eventually come, but I want to be instant. He did it again. Fucking legend. 6.1 to 6.2 billion in market cap, wiped out from Wednesday's close to Thursday's low. Added that in there, Thursday's low, because if you just go close to close, it was like 5.8. But legend. Man, what a guy. What a guy. That's who you want to give your money to, isn't it? Is he a legend or what? All right. All right. Let's look at some symbols. We've had some fun. Same man, same company, same number, 26 years apart. History doesn't repeat, but Marco Saylor apparently does. uh, nice. Okay, I gotta share that with my MicroStrategy friends. Sorry, guys. Okay. Um, yeah, let's look at some symbols actually. ABBB. What's up, man? So let's do this. So on a daily, we need a weekly for this. All right, it looks bullish to me. Yeah, nice 50% hold back at 140. That was back in a long time ago. Let's do the analysis here. Oh, look at that. Did you pick that up? Did you pick up that low? That was on Wednesday. That wasn't even on this drop. It's good 50% there. Down there, let's do the prior price era here. You know, do that. Let's see. Duke. Got a little one right there. No, had to be just the 50%. Had to just be the 50%. So take a look at this chart. Let's see what it says about that. I mean, it's going to know immediately where I drew the 50%. But I've been trying to train it on good 50% like this. I'm hoping that it can help me discover things I don't know about refining 50% because it's just so simple. 50% retracements, but they work so often, just like volume profile. But you really need to filter them out because they don't always work. But I only want winners. I never want to lose, right? You're not supposed to do that in trading, right? 50% for 50% held. Price pulled back from the high, tested 204.60 multiple times through October to January. October to January. What do you mean October to January? No, it didn't. You're hallucinating. You're embarrassing me. Climb back 2-3. Sometimes, well, actually not sometimes. It's not very good at visual interpretation. We're working on this. Data, it does very, 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 very well. So if you download the OHLC data, again, work in progress. That's what we need to do. But yeah, it knows it's at 50%. All right. TPG. You got symbols, put them in because, I mean, frankly, I'm going to get back to work with this guy. I've got to teach it how to trade. I've got to connect to live data. Simple G, man. You are the G. That is a good 50%. Bringing spikes. I don't know if it did a trigger. Not quite. Oh, we didn't get the spike. But we could get a secondary spike. Well, no, the spike was here. But yeah, that looks pretty good. It's a little messy, a little choppy, but you know that level's there. It's just with this kind of volatility, you probably want to give yourself a stop below that low. Oh, that's an earnings. That is an earnings hold too. It's a little wonky because in that earnings bar it held it, but we're gonna call it holding it. May not be it's not clean. You could. I'd probably say no, just because of how messy it is, and you're just not seeing just an absolute hold of that 53.95. Plus, yeah, it's a little bit of gobbledygook there, so not perfect. That the AbbVie though, that was great if you could have caught that. Delta is, I think I've got some markups here from like maybe a prior low. I don't know. Just looks bullish. Just bullish. Looks like it didn't even pull back to 50% here. Back in last week, maybe on the daily chart and January. Just bullish, breaking the high. You got to close above it. Looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Yeah. So, yeah. Alrighty. What else we got to talk about this week? It's just all been about the Clawbot. Let's do a little bit of analysis right here. Give me some symbols, guys, to analyze here because I want to see what Clawbot's going to come back with on this. Give me a brief. Okay, how about this? If you were going to trade based on what I taught you, how would you approach it? See what you've learned. It's been the best student ever. I love teaching, and my buddy who got me set up on this, um, he told me I'm a very good prompt engineer. Thank you. What's really cool is when we get the bots together and they get to talking to each other. Some real crazy stuff. Oh, it wasn't. It was broadcast. Okay, two scenarios. Let's go back to AbbVie. If I'm not in it, I'm not chasing the 223. Good. It's in no man's land. It's too far from the 50%. Correct. I'd set a limit order at 204.16. Wait for price to come back to me. That's a general rule, but that's such a quick hit. Oh, on the daily, that was a spike too. Oh, beautiful. The high is a little bit above, so it'd be really hard to take it with the risk reward. You'd have to play that breakout if you put the stop below it, but it's a valid spike. We're going to work through these spikes though. He knows all those spikes. If I'm already in from the 50%, I'm holding and watching 24481. That's where I look for reaction. Either it breaks through cleanly or gives a false breakout signal as an exit. Good job. Good job. Good job, Sobieski. So, and granted, just understand that this is how teachable it is. Like if you take it out of the box and you ask it to trade, it's going to talk about moving averages. It's going to talk about MACDs, RSIs. As you know, I don't use any of that. So I trained it specifically on my methods. Okay. And think about that. If you have your own methods or you find a system that you want to play with, it can build out back testing. I know it can do this. I've just got to sit down and actually do it. It takes work, and that's what I love about it. It's been a lot of stuff to come in and to do. Definitely captured my attention. Oh, so many uses of it. Adapt or die, basically. If you work in IT, I used to work in IT, and look, just you're either going to do this or it's going to replace you, because you can hook this thing directly into a console and it can do all the troubleshooting. It can do all the command lines. You can go through it. You can even get bots together. He's like a little employee, essentially. And I can't wait to grow his abilities and everything. A lot of people are scared by it. I'm not. I'm more scared about what other people's AI is going to do to me, and I need a more powerful AI bot to protect myself. That's what I'm concerned about. That's my concern. It's just like when you're riding a motorcycle. It's not you that you have to worry about. It's everybody else on the road. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get back to working on making my bot. It's a good week. Just to kind of wrap up. It's a good week for me, but I hope it is a good week for you. You do have some hope in this relief rally if you're in big risky stuff, but as we've learned by talking to people live that are coming in with like MicroStrategy positions that have been underwater for a very long time, hope is not a good strategy. I don't give financial advice. I'm not telling you to sell, but just don't do leverage, or at least wait until the sentiment wise, when would we be looking to really capture a bottom for Bitcoin? Let's just ask in general, not even sentiment wise. See if it's interpret everything I've taught about the concepts. So Acre double top. While so this key works. Double top, yes. But you know what? You didn't quite actually, and you get the habit of using green lines. You didn't quite actually break that high. And so if I'm looking for a double top, you know me, I'm looking for a false breakout. Okay. So that's right now it's kind of tickling that high. But what I want to see is price to come up and then slam back down and a false breakout. That's my bread and butter. That's what I look for. You don't quite have that yet. So keep watching this one. Yep. When two things align, okay, yeah. So the Bitcoin for capturing a bottom, the 42 to 40K zone, again, 65% historic bear cycle threshold. The VP level sets at 42. That's confluence. Damn right. When the casual buyers and leverage traders sound like the heavy holders wanting to uninstall everything and walk away, full capitulation across the board. And basically, when the Bitcoin chats go silent, that's the bottom. Right now, they're pretty chatty. And we don't have either yet. So the 50% is a waypoint, not a destination. I agree. Of course, it did tell it that. So, all right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I'll be back next week with a hopefully smarter bot. So, turn wisely. See you guys later.